Okay, so I just want to do a quick review on this book I just read. It's called Why Men Pull Away, and it's part of the Meet Your Sweet course program I'm doing right now. And, because I am a talker, I will keep going. I actually have a list of pointers I want to touch on, so I'm just going to get right to it. So the first thing that got me interested in this book was because my boyfriend and I are in a long-term relationship, and when you're in a relationship for a certain amount of time, there's going to be some distance. There's going to be some separation, and I wanted to make sure that I was doing everything I could to keep our love long term and to understand what's going on in his brain. So in the beginning of the book, it talks about the Paleolithic principle. It's really hard to say, and also the dream girl factor, which is basically how to be different and how to understand how he's processing things. And then it goes on to 4 parts in the book. And part 1 is called Understanding Your Man. And it's like the do's and don'ts, how to understand, commitment and how respect and happiness and all this stuff comes into play, it affects it. And for me, they talked about man-friendly don'ts. I am guilty of all of them almost. I didn't realize, how much I was doing not wrong, just not as good as I could have done. So that really put me in check, and I'm working on those. That's part 1. And then part 2, it's called How to Get Him to Focus on You. And this one, the biggest thing for me was when they talked about space. I'm a very loving person, touchy-feely, and I love to interact with my boyfriend. He has a busy work schedule, so when I see him, I want to be attentive towards him. And it talked about, giving space to him. And that's really hard for me. So that's really something I'm working on. And as for the other stuff in that part of the book, part 2, it talks about the differences of men and women. And it goes back to like cave days, how we develop different characteristics and traits because of what we had to do. So that's why men are more, one task minded, and then move on to the next, and women just multitask everywhere. So that's part 2. Part 3 is things that drive men away. For this one, nagging was the one that really stuck out to me. And the best thing about it was it didn't just talk about nagging in general. It talked about why nagging doesn't work for men. And then it talked about how to reword what you're saying so that they'll be more, receptive towards it. And I've found it very helpful, especially in my interactions with my boyfriend, since reading this book. And there's so much in part 3 that I love. And it's just something that you have to read for yourself, because I feel like if I talk about it, you won't get the full extent. But yeah, seriously, part 3, awesome. And part 4 is how to bring him closer. I love the advice they gave in this book, and, knowing how he wants forever and knowing how to get him to start thinking about forever. And of course, in my long-term relationship, we already are thinking about forever with each other, but it's nice to have that, it's nice to have that extra confidence, and also at the end, it talked about 5 commitments you can make to each other, and I actually did them with my boyfriend. And honestly, this whole book, just after reading this one book, I've noticed so many differences in my relationship with him, so many growths, so many improvements. It's just amazing, and I'm sure I'm going to post more reviews as I keep reading, but I just really love this book, and I wanted to share about it. But yeah, that's all I have to say. So thank you for watching.